You know how I'm always saying you are your own first responder? Well, sometimes another citizen with a gun is your first responder.
Kevin, thank you. Meanwhile, breaking news from overnight, a suspected robber was shot while trying to hold someone up at an ATM.
Yeah, overnight we learned that suspect was wanted for murder. Police say a stranger saw the robbery as it was happening on Westheimer in the West Chase area and tried to stop it.
HPD tells us that a man pulled up here to get some money out of the ATM, and as he was doing that, police say the suspect came from around the corner and ordered him at gunpoint to give up the money. Here's what police say happened next.
The victim was trying to comply when the suspect started pistol whipping him and hitting him in the head with his handgun. At that point, a third party who had been driving by witnessed the event, and as he was passing by, he came back, and at that time, he pulled his own weapon.
Yeah, the man who was driving by came to defend the victim. Police say he pulled out a gun and shot the suspect twice. The suspect was hit in the leg and the foot and was not able to get away. He was taken to the hospital. And just this morning, we're learning from police that the suspect was wanted for murder out of Louisiana.
I always felt like people standing with their back to the world in front of a box that spits out money if you push the right button is a robber's wet dream, which is why I avoid using ATMs as much as I can. You might as well put a sign on your back and say, "Come rob me, please." I, for the life of me, don't understand why people think it's a good idea to try to rob someone in one of the most gun-friendly states in the nation. Even if the person you're trying to rob doesn't have a gun, someone else does, like what just happened in this story. I love the fact that an armed citizen was able to come to the rescue of another person. Nobody ever talks about these types of situations, and they happen more than you think. I know so many gun owners who wouldn't hesitate to use their firearm to protect another person if they were in danger. Isn't that what this country is supposed to be about? Looking out for your fellow man? If this person didn't have a gun, at best, all you could do is what? Help him and become a robbery victim number 2? That's why the most recent Second Amendment Supreme Court ruling was so important, because it essentially gave the right to carry a gun for protection and the protection of others to people who live in states where the governments virtually made it impossible to get a concealed carry license. Keep in mind, a lot of these defensive gun use stories happen in pro-gun states because the people in these states are allowed to carry a firearm. You don't hear about these defensive gun use cases in anti-gun states because the only people who have guns are criminals and the police. But there were no police here to stop this robbery, but there was a citizen with a gun, and that citizen used that gun to protect another citizen. Why is this not being praised? Why is this not headline news the same way it is when someone does something bad with a gun? The reason is because stories about citizens defending themselves show you that it's not only possible to defend yourself with a firearm, but it's even better because cops can't be there when you need them. So you are there with your gun to protect yourself or someone else who's in danger. That's why they ignore stories about citizens with guns defending themselves and overload you with stories of criminals victimizing citizens. They want to sell you the illusion that you can only be a victim and can't defend yourself against criminals, so you have to give the government as much power as possible to keep you safe. The government will then come in and say, "Hey, you need to give us your gun rights so that there are no guns out there for the criminals to get their hands on." But are we really that dumb to think that giving up our guns will mean that the criminals won't have their guns? I can hear the anti-gunners now. So what you're saying is we should just give guns to everyone so that everyone has guns. No, I'm saying let the people who want to take up the responsibility of responsible gun ownership do just that. And for the people who don't, let them rely on the government if they want to, because they have every right to be as dumb as they want to be. Besides, having a population of legal gun owners doesn't stop the police from doing their job, but gun control does stop citizens from being able to effectively protect themselves. Speaking of protection, some self-defense shootings are so clear-cut that you'll never see the inside of a cop car, much less a courtroom. But there are some cases where an anti-gun prosecutor who is overly eager to make an example out of a gun owner will still try to prosecute you for defending yourself. Now you're spending tens of thousands of dollars to defend yourself in not only a criminal case, but potentially a civil case. So, if you carry a gun for self-defense, make sure you look into some sort of self-defense insurance. I personally work with USCCA, and I advocate for a USCCA membership because with the USCCA membership, you not only get access to self-defense insurance, you also gain access to their network of self-defense attorneys in your state. And you also gain access to their training. because it's much better to have the knowledge that'll help prevent you from getting into a self-defense situation. But if you do happen to get in a situation like that, you also know in the back of your mind, you have the financial, legal, and emotional support to deal with that potential legal fallout. So if you want to learn more about a USCCA membership, I'll put a link in the description section of this video. Guns aren't political. That's why I need your help getting this message to spread on YouTube by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment to let me know what you think of the video, then subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, click that bell symbol. For products featured in this video, click the links in the description.